a similar version of that chain. So and so that is a consideration we need to consider right now. We want to get some adoption first before we fully open source it. But eventually, we will open source everything. When do you aim to have cross-chain bridge? So again, that's probably a day 2 feature. We want to get Binance Chain to have some what we call it, have some momentum first. So we want to get a number of projects issuing a number of real projects with real market caps to issue on Binance Chain first, and then consider the cross-chain bridging. Initially, with the existing large cap tokens, we will probably do pegging through Binance.com. It's not ideal, but that's the fastest thing to do. Cosmos is trying to do the cross-chain bridging part, but right now they don't have a lot of projects live. They don't have a lot of blockchains live on Cosmos. So once they have more projects, it should be quite technically feasible for us to connect with Cosmos. So we'll see how that works out. How much does Binance change to host IEOs on average? So every project's different. So some, like if you do a popular sale on Binance Launchpad, depends on the project, how many users they have, how mature the product is, what kind of services they need from us, how much of the advisory and consulting they need from us. So that depends on every project. We don't have a set structure. SegWit. So SegWit is on the roadmap, but it's kind of always lower priority because Bitcoin transactions do work right now, and especially with Lightning networks, which have taken the load off Bitcoin main network, because we want to strive to have the safest deposit and withdrawals. So so it's never a super high priority for us. We just got so many stuff that's going on. Do you have any plans to offer any kind of Lightning Network services? So again, I think we talked about that just now. What are your goals by end of 2019 for Binance, Binance Chain, Binance DEX? So I think we just want to increase adoption, to be honest. So we don't really have super grand goals where we have to hit a number, etc. So that's that. Would it be possible to select BNB? I talked about that. Which countries have you haven't visited are on the top of your visit list? So I don't really have a travel schedule or a travel wish list. I just travel whenever the opportunity presents itself. I don't try to go to a country just for touring purposes. I have a feeling that I will travel to many countries just because I have to. So I will continue to do that. What's your biggest secret? I don't really have a lot of. I think we are trying to be as transparent as possible to the extent possible. So there's not a whole lot of secret sauce going on here. We just focus on the issues, and whenever an issue presents itself, we try to resolve it. So now on our hands, we have a pretty big issue to deal with, and we just gotta deal with it the best way we can. Quantum Chugani has a few questions in the picture format. Let me load that. Let me see if I can. So again, a number of people asking for hack details. So if you listen to this live stream from the beginning, we talked about the hack quite a bit. So you can. So it's best to listen to the video stream from the beginning. So I'll address a couple of these questions. So it's been about close to 30 minutes. So please appreciate I do have a lot of issues to address today. So I will cut this off at about 30 minutes. So I'll address a couple more questions here from Gautam Chugani. Has the DEX launch met your expectations so far? What are the big learnings so far? Still early, I understand. So to be honest, the Binance DEX has exceeded my expectations, to be honest. When we first said we were going to develop a DEX maybe about a year ago, I thought it would be an incremental improvement on the current DEXs, but I didn't expect it to be so fast and the UI experience being so smooth. So I think from a product perspective, it has exceeded my expectations. So right now, I think the tech team collectively have done a fantastic job. So right now, it's really up for us to sort of push it out to get the initial adoption, to get the critical mass, and then after that, it should just basically spread on its own. So far, I think it's exceeded my expectations. What are the biggest considerations for projects to choose BEP2 token over other choices? Any early learnings? Yeah, so that's a good question. So there's a lot of benefits. There's a lot of benefits on you choosing BEP2. On the technical side, it is much faster to transfer send and receive tokens. It is much cheaper as well, and one block confirmation is final. So there's instant finality. So that's on the technical merits. On the other side, for the earlier projects that migrate to Binance Chain, we will help Binance.com will help push them, and we will do joint marketing programs. They will get visibility. They will get a lot of exposure, and right now it's quite easy to get listed on Binance DEX. So as more projects come onto the chain, the review process is done by the community. So it's done by a thread. We didn't like the voting, any voting feature will be manipulated. So we didn't like that. The goal is to have at least 10 times more coins on the Binance DEX than on Binance.com, so that we can select from Binance DEX the more popular coins on DEX, and we will list them on .com. So that's kind of the goal. So there's a lot of incentives on that front. How has the progress been on fiat exchanges launching Jersey, Uganda, and Singapore? The fiat exchanges, we've been very careful. We follow the local regulatory requirements to the letter. So we've been very careful not to scale them too aggressively. We don't want to step on anybody's toes or step on any landmines, etc. So being very, very careful with expanding that. So we want each regulator to be comfortable with what we're doing. And for example, in Jersey, we have multiple meetings with the regulators, and they are very comfortable with the way we're doing things right now. So we want to be the most compliant fiat exchanges around the world. And we adopted a very similar approach in Singapore as well. So right now, there's only one pair on Singapore. And we're confirming and reconfirming with the regulatory authorities that we're doing everything properly. So eventually you will scale, but we're taking a very careful and compliant approach. So Binance has invested in so many early projects. Teams also help to raise funds on Launchpad. Which segments are you seeing early signs of success in real-world usable applications, blockchains? What part of the ecosystem are you most excited about? So again, I don't really have a crystal ball. I can't really predict the future that much. But we do try to invest in infrastructure projects, anything that can help build the ecosystem. In terms of applications, I think there's a few very obvious ones. There's transfer, there's payments, e-commerce, etc. There's fundraising, which is already probably the biggest killer app right now. I see a number of interesting games coming out of the dApps space, because games can be quite simple, and especially games today, most people play them on the mobile. It's a very short period of attention, so always very simple games. So those things, I think gaming probably have a lot of potential. So between institutional and retail adoption, which ones are you most excited about? How much is Binance focused on institutional clients? So we have rolled out a number of key features for institutional clients, but I think right now, if you look at our user base, the majority of them is retail. So again, we don't judge, we don't decide. We just make sure we offer choices to people. And for example, if large institutions wants to come in and they require certain features, we would develop it for that. So that's that. So I think the time is pretty tight. So I think a number of people who joined late are still wondering about the hack or the security incident. So let me just recap a little bit very quickly on top of my head. Actually, I don't even have the announcement in front of me. But basically, the hacker was able to control a large number of user accounts. Some of them have high depth, have a lot of coins, have a lot of funds, and they were able to structure a withdrawal request in the sense, in a sense where it did not violate any of our existing security checks. And so that transaction went out, and that's the transaction we posted in the announcement, and 7,000 BTC. So it is a large sum of money. It's equivalent to about $40 million right now. So, but luckily we do have the Saifu fund that will be able to cover it, and we will cover all the funds ourselves from the Saifu insurance fund, and all the users are all the user funds are okay. We do need about a week. We need to go through a very detailed security review and process to make sure that the system is completely clean. So that will take more or less about a week or so based on feedback from my team so far. We want to make sure everything's secure before we turn on deposit and withdrawals again. But you can check on the blockchain. That's the only transaction that's suspicious. Our cold wallet is intact. The only wallet that's impacted is the Bitcoin hot wallet. All the other wallets are fine. So the funds are secure. We did lose a bit of funds, but we are able to handle that. Other than that, so we're just focused on building everything back up. So that's the highest priority for the next week or so. So I see a lot of people objecting to a rollback. I think there are some ethical and reputational considerations for Bitcoin blockchain for a rollback. So we will consider. So, but it's interesting. That's a tech solution that's presented to us by the community, including some of the core members of the Bitcoin development team. I actually didn't know that before. Actually, it just never occurred to me. But we will consider that very, very carefully, given the feedback we're receiving. So other than that, I think that's all the time I have today. So thank you for your support. And thank you for your understanding and the patience for waiting another week or at least a few days, a week or so, for deposit withdrawals. So thank you so much. We apologize about that, and we hope that after this incident we'll actually become more secure, even though we paid a hefty price. So thank you so much, and we do appreciate your support. And I will be active on Twitter. So if you need to reach me, I will be extra active on Twitter for the next little while. So thank you so much, and yeah, thank you.